You got that right.
New file.
First things first. Hi, I'm Dusty Cat.
What up, Dusty?
Nice to see you all here today, this morning. First panel on the main stage. What can we have the first panel on the main stage on this wonderful day? Why don't we bring out some villains? Do you guys like villains?
Yeah!
Villains make awesome stories, don't they? Amazing. I got some really great villains here for you. First, the biggest villain of them all, the voice director. Please bring to the stage Mr. Terry Klassen. Terry, there you are. Come up here and join me a moment. Anywhere you sit, anywhere you wish.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I'm stuck in the chair. Here we go.
Now, Terry's not only the voice director, he's a very wonderful voice director, but he is also a voice actor.
Yeah.
He has done some voice acting. He played not only Hoops, but Ignatius Rock.
I don't even remember the voices.
I know. Those were a while ago. So he's actually, this is Pinkie Pie's dad.
Yeah, way back in the day.
So, my second villain that we all know and we all love, Miss Kelly Sheridan. Kelly, join me on the stage. And of course, Kelly, Starlight Glimmer. Yes, but she's also Sassy Saddles and one of my wonderful bolts, Misty Fly. Yeah, also Misty Fly.
They're not villains.
So, let's bring up the new villains, our new villain. You know her as the cutesy, Cozy Glow, Miss Cynthia Westbrook. Come on. Yeah.
The cutesy.
The cutesy, Cozy Glow. And of course, one of my favorite villains, Lord T-Rex himself. Mark Atkinson. Come on out here. This is Mark's very first convention ever. Give it a hand. First panel is very first convention. Yes. How are you guys all doing today? I'm talking to you guys. How are you guys?
Doing good.
Yeah, great.
Have a good morning?
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's destroy it. Let's start off with a question for everybody. The whole panel, what aspect of your villain character do you like about them in particular?
I like that mine was a sneaky villain.
Sneaky?
I mean, this guy shows up, you know he's going to be a bad guy.
Hey.
I Sheridan's like, maybe she's nice. and what I particularly like about her, I think specifically for a show that has a lot of children watching, I like that she's a tricky villain. A lot of times kids are warned about stranger danger and bad guys, but sometimes the bad guy looks like you, or looks like someone you should know, and maybe they're not. Maybe they're trying to trick you. So that's what I particularly like about my villain.
What about you, Kelly?
It's been a long time since she was a bad guy.
Oh, I don't know. I think she's kind of
Remember
bad. I think she has enough. She hangs around with Trixie for crying out loud.
Yeah.
That's
Her
trouble
powers
already.
of manipulation are kind of cool. That's sort of like, it's not how you want to operate in the real world, but as a villain, I think that's a pretty solid asset. And her righteousness. I think all the best villains are righteous. They have a purpose and a goal, and they think that what they're doing is the right thing. So no villain thinks they're a villain. No villain thinks they're actually a bad guy. They have a purpose and a goal, and that's what makes them so scary and so dangerous. Because they're
the hero of their own story.
That's right. Every villain is the hero of their own story. Good one. I thought that up myself.
What about you, Terry? You played some villains back in your day.
Yeah, I'm just going to say about the three here, they basically were cast because they are inherently evil people. No, I'm kidding. No, years ago I played a villain on Cyber 6. I can't remember the guy's name, but yeah, it was way back in the day. And it's basically, I think these guys would agree, it's fun to play a villain because basically you can take them to different levels. And the beautiful thing about a villain, to what Kelly was saying, is that they don't think they're being evil. They just have a quest to go on. And in My Little Pony, every villain has a character, and so these guys have to get behind that character and follow the story with that. You know, it goes from Mark obviously being obviously evil to Sunny, to Sunny being kind of the manipulator behind the scenes, and oh, did I do that? The innocence of the character. So I think it's fun to be a villain, not in real life, just playing one.
Fun to play one. How about you, Mark? What do you think about Lord T-Rick?
Well, I enjoyed the fact that he was two characters, which was a lot of fun for me, because when he was starting out, he was small and wizened and old and weak. Is he friend or is he foe?
Oh, wow.
Then I got to be Lord T-Rick. So it was a blast, and I've had a real fun ride being on the Lord's back all the way. And thanks to you, because you liked me enough. They kept bringing me back, because Terry didn't want to, but anyway, they brought me back, and so thank you very much.
Yes, don't let Rogar take you down. But okay, Terry, this is one for you. Being the voice director for many, many years, how do you, as a director, say Cozy Glow isn't quite evil enough, right? She's not quite manipulative enough. How do you pull that from the actor?
Well, as a voice director, the best thing is if the voice actors go too far, it's easier to pull somebody back. If somebody they become overt, they're just huge. I love that. Then you can pull them back. But sometimes you just have to go in increments, because an actor will get a script and they'll do an audition, and then they'll come in, and then the powers that be, like it could be the story the art directors or the directors, the animation directors. They want to just finesse the characters. So I have to listen to them, and then we have to go to the actors and say, okay, we have to give and this is what you kind of do with all villains or all characters, is you have to give them different levels. Because if you're always big and yelling, it gets kind of boring. So I'm forgetting the question again. How do I direct them to be more, get them to be more evil? Each one's different. Like, for example, Mark's talking about different levels where, you were broken down in prison for a while, weren't you, in the show?
We kept on trying to figure out how big was he? Did he have so many ponies or just a couple of ponies?
Which horsepower?
Yeah, exactly. It was always an adjustment. So
yeah, and you have to do it to what the script is talking about for the scene, because in some scenes they're just beaten down, and life sucks. I'm sitting in a prison, and my life is going nowhere. Then all of a sudden they come up with an evil plan, and then they become ultimately evil, and then they pontificate. T-Rick was good at doing that, wasn't he?
Yeah, I was a big pontificator.
That's awesome. Hey, Kelly. And now that Starlight has been redeemed, yeah, right. Do you think the motivations for her villainy were really solid back in the time?
Oh gosh, you're gonna ask me the tough questions. Politically charged questions.
Okay, how about this? Do you think there was much more hurt and pain in her backstory than we actually heard? On how to set up her character back then?
I think it's always difficult to tell what someone is carrying on their own. You know what I mean? Like, I think if someone tells you something affects them that profoundly, then you should believe them. You know what I mean? I think we discount other people's tragedy and trauma. I'm getting really deep now. But I think we discount people's stuff too often. And so she had this I've heard a lot of people say that they relate to Starlight in that way, and that they've had similar experiences, and it was really difficult for them to get over the same kind of experience she had. So I think it's justified that someone can go down that path. It only takes a few times to feel like you're abandoned or left behind or not fitting in to make some bad choices. So I don't know. I buy it. I totally buy it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Mark. Hey, buddy. Have enough time?
Yes.
We really only get like this flash of Lord Tyrik's backstory saying that he wanted to, quote unquote, steal equestrian magic, but we don't get really real reason for it, other than maybe ultimate power, maybe? When crafting the character, when you came up with Lord Tyrik, what was the reason, in your mind, that he wanted to actually have all the equestrian magic?
Because he wanted to be a giant Pegasus. And be shooting out stuff. It's just,
Oh, the stuff ration.
I was shooting out stuff like crazy. And as the older guy, I didn't get to shoot on anything. I was, so I really enjoyed that part. But I don't know what to say. What was the question again?
As an actor, and you have to like craft Lord Tyrik from nothingness, and he has the want of all equestrian magic. And in your mind, why do you think he wants that?
He's lonely.
He's lonely.
He wants friends.
He wants friends.
He doesn't know how to make friends.
And I had them in little bubbles all around me, floating with me, and John Delancey, and they were all floating by me, and I felt like I had a family, and it's really nice. But then I get defeated, which is normally what happens to me. But, don't feel bad.
Stick with Cozy Glow.
Because I don't.
You're back now, so that's awesome. Hey, Sunny.
Yes.
Cozy Glow. She seems like that straightforward, wants to be the most popular girl in school villain that we've seen all the time. But she has a bit more depth, right? She wants to be the Empress of Friendship and all that. In what you saw reading the script for the first time, how did you build that character other than that one-dimensional, I want to be the princess of the school character?
I never thought of her as the mean girl who wanted to be popular.
Really?
I always thought of her as a bit of a psychopath.
Yeah.
She only cares about herself and her goals and her interests, and I think what she wanted to learn from the School of Friendship was how to fit in and tell people the lines they wanted to hear so she could get what she wanted. She didn't want to actually be liked, she just wanted to be in charge. She'd be a great CEO.
Yeah, that's very psychopathic behavior.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Definitely came through in the season finale, that's for sure. For everybody, for the whole panel, as an actor or director, what aspect of a villain makes them most interesting? And any villain that you've seen in any movie or whatever, what is your favorite aspect of your favorite villain that's out there?
It goes back to what Kelly and Terry said earlier about how the villain is the hero of their own story. So my favorite villain is Michael Corleone from The Godfather. Because he's not a bad guy. He's just trying to take care of his family, and it's not his fault they're trying to kill his dad. And then they did, and they didn't, but they tried.
Spoiler alert.
If you haven't seen it yet, that's on you. But yeah, he's a bad guy doing bad things, but it's for the right reasons. So he's my favorite bad guy because he gave us Walter White, right? The bad guy trying to take care of his family and doing the wrong thing for the right reasons. Or
Villains always get the best costumes.
That's true.
They always look really cool.
who's your favorite villain costume?
Lord Tyrik.
Currently, Cersei Lannister has the best. Oh my gosh, that
I was
black
thinking
with the
for a second.
leather and the spike and the red and the.
You had that last night.
I did, yeah. I got a copy made. Yep.
I like the Joker. I just think the Joker, and all the different characters of the Joker, whether it was Batman from the 60s all the way to, yeah, well, he
Best performance
that
ever.
makeup, that's the best makeup. And then what I liked about him was, he was just totally bananas, and he just could tilt his head in a certain way. And unfortunately, I think he lived and breathed that character when they were doing the filming for that. But it just was an amazing character. He was nuts, and I love that in a villain.
How about you, Mark?
Well, I think that villains are the coolest because they make the good people, the heroes, look better. I'm serious. I don't think you can have a really good story unless the villain is as big and as powerful and as interesting as possible. And then that colors the heroes even more because they have to overcome that.
What's your favorite villain?
My favorite villain is I have to say that Heath Ledger's performance of the Joker was off the charts. It was almost hypnotic watching that guy. And I just thought that was a piece of work. I thought Jack Nicholson at the time did a really good Joker. And then I went, wow, this is a Joker 2.0. I mean, this was way out. And such a tragic loss, but what an incredible talent. And he just, it was like drop the mic when he finished that performance, as far as I'm concerned.
But wouldn't you love to see a series where the villain is the hero? I mean, Breaking Bad kind of did that. You're right in the sense that he did it for good purposes, and the finale of Breaking Bad was absolutely amazing because it just tied everything together. But wouldn't it be cool if there was a series where evil won?
Actually, there was a movie. Then that happened.
Which one was that?
Mastermind.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and
Mastermind was an awesome movie.
Dr. Horrible.
Yeah, Dr. Horrible's.
But having a series
Hero
where the
villain.
evil always
Oh yeah, that would be really cool, wouldn't it? Technically. For a while.
well, what about Dexter? Dexter didn't lose. He went on. If you're familiar with the show, Dexter is the anti-hero, and he's the serial killer, psychopath guy, and I'm not going to tell you how it ends, but I don't think he really loses at the end. Did you see that one?
So many spoilers today.
Just cover your ears. Don't listen to us.
I actually liked Queen Chrysalis because in the beginning,
Which one?
Queen Chrysalis. Because Queen Chrysalis was looking to feed her people. That's all she needed and all she wanted. That's why she wanted to take over Callan. She needed love to feed her people. She went about it the wrong way, but that's what she got for her efforts, and now she's insane. So yeah, she's the Joker of My Little Pony now. Kelly, if Starlight fell back to villainy,
We would have so much fun.
Oh yeah.
I miss playing her dad.
Yes.
what would her grand scheme entail, and would it involve kites?
Ooh, probably some kind of like brainwashing of her little friend, her friend club that she's accumulated with with Trixie and Maud and Sunburst. They'd be wouldn't they be such a good supervillain team? Oh
my God.
Well, Trixie would mess up the entire thing. But Maud would. But sometimes you need a smoke bomb, and so that's what she's around for.
Trixie's magic worked all the time, and she became the pentultimate villain for My Little Pony.
Don't give away the ending.
Because she's treated as kind of, just the disaster that always happens.
Yeah, that it's the longest con in pony history. Pretending this entire time to be a sham. Yeah, so it'd be something to do with somehow getting them on board and manipulating them into thinking that taking over Equestria is the right thing to do, and turning Maud against Pinky, and oh my gosh, wouldn't that be amazing? But I don't know. Maybe I'll write a season 10. And
That'd be great. Terry,
Yes.
favorite villain character that you ever played and why?
Well, I defer back to Cyber 6. Do you remember Cyber 6?
no, yeah.
How old are you on that?
I don't think I was in.
Oh no, what was
Cyber
the show that we did together? Years ago. You were like 14 at the time.
He did a lot of shows.
Yeah, there was one, it was Ocean way back.
Somebody
in the day.
check Billy the Cat.
Billy the Cat. Well, there was no villain in that.
No.
Really, no.
It was
no.
great.
It was for me doing it, and actually wrote a couple of the episodes was Cyber 6 because I get to be just a guy that was trying to manipulate everything, and he was a bit of a disaster too. He was this great inventor, and he'd build all these robotic characters, and everything fell to crap after a while. But that was my favorite one that I've ever played. That was way back in the day.
What about his particular character made him villainy? That say, okay, everybody has a villain has to have a reason that it's right to him. What was his reason?
His reason was to control everything. He wanted to control the world. He wanted to control. He wanted to take down Cyber 6 because that was his nemesis. And again, in typical villainy fashion, he failed at every attempt that he'd start a mechanical circus to sort of bring out Cyber 6. He failed as that. Every episode he would always fail at. But it was fun to play this, this lousy villain. Like me in life.
You have an awesome life, shut it. Mark and Sunny together, here's your question. Okay, you two, you have been locked up in Tartarus for a while now. Grogar has not yet summoned you. What's going through your minds as you look at each other and the hours are ticking by slowly?
You're very handsome. Did you see my friendship statue?
It broke, Mark.
I was thinking about the fact we have to share a bathroom all the time.
And there's no privacy. You get really close.
And there's bars, people can look in. I mean,
But it's prison.
I know.
You don't have privacy in prison.
They got me to sing a song to see if I could sing, because I can't. And I sang the Tyrrell Blues. Like
Oh,
old
and I can play
30s.
harmonica. Oh, that's what we did. That's what we did before demand. Which was my answer. Right? Found objects.
Oh, yeah.
Little percussion, singing the blues.
man.
The harmonica with the comb and the paper. Yeah, that's what we did.
Nobody knows the trouble. Yeah.
Nobody knows
The sorrow.
All right, everybody. As an actor, you get the part of the villain. You get the part. You've done your thing. You've gotten the part. What is the first word that comes to your mind when you hear that you got that villain part?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Ka-ching. Well, it's an interesting thing as I'm sort of more of the voice directing thing, but I'm, obviously as an actor, over the years as it's progressed, from the late 80s to into the 90s, there was sort of a really small core of people that did, voice acting. And that has grown, and it's huge now. And for people to get roles and consistently get roles, it's harder and harder and harder to do. And if you do get 2 or 3 roles a year, that's a lot now. Because back in the day, there might have been 20, 25 people that were actually out auditioning. It was hard to get kids because there was no kids. And back in the day, you used to go in and you would audition. You would go in front of casting directors and directors and animation directors. And now, it's basically people sitting at home and doing MP3s and sending them in. And that's a really hard, arbitrary thing to do, and even for villains, it's to what Dusty's talking about. At what level do you play the villain? If everybody's like overt and just, the big villain, that gets kind of boring after a while, but there still has to be those characters. There has to be, what Sunny does is sort of these, innocent kind of victims. And then there's what Kelly did. It's sort of a real person that felt that she was done wrong, and I got to get back at people. So there's all these different levels, and you'll get a paragraph description on an audition sheet, and you have to figure out, you have to sort of get into the minds of what these, what you're going to do as a performer. And quite often they'll give you a reference of somebody's voice. What would be
Shirley Temple.
Oh yeah, well, everybody and their dog's going to do Shirley Temple.
Well, not me.
Or Drew Barrymore is a big voice reference I see quite a bit. Drew Barrymore, Kristen Shaw, Amy Poehler. It's like,
You know what I do when I get a reference like that? I don't try to mimic their voice. I think if you get a couple of references all in one chunk, I go, what are those three? What's the quality that those 2 or 3 people have in common? Like, what kind of response do they inspire in people, rather than I'm going to do my best Tina Fey impression?
Yeah.
Which actually I have a really good Tina Fey impression, but so I try to think of like, oh, they're honorable, or they're kind of quirky. They have a quirky sense of humor. So I think of like what characteristics those people have, rather than trying to mimic their voice. Because
And that's super smart, because the thing is that you're going to get 22 people that are going to do Amy Poehler impressions, and there's going to be one that stands out. There's an actor's joke. How many actors does it take to screw in a light bulb? 100. One to screw it in and 99 to go,
I could
have
have
done
done
that. And it's really true. So it's really tough to, as far as villains go, it's tough to get inside the minds of the, the creators of the show, the art directors, of what they want for that villain.
Starlight's reference, which you can credit Mitch Larson for this one, was a cross between Dolores Umbridge and Jim Jones. The
that's amazing.
Yeah, so I mean, I did, maybe she's got a bit of Dolores in terms of her delivery, but like, I'm not doing a Jim Jones impression, but that tells you, okay, what's that, how is that character operating,
And it's as a new voice actor, these guys have been doing it for years. As a new voice actor, I went up to a class at On the Mic training a couple of years ago, and on Sunday was characters, and I had Lee Toker as my director / teacher. He was behind the glass, and we did all these characters all day, and I had one character left, and he was Mr. Trilobite, which was the flea from Yakety Yak, and I'd never seen the show, so I had no idea what this character was supposed to sound like or anything, and I had nothing in my head.
I directed that show.
Yeah, I had nothing in my head for that show, for that character. And you're supposed to slate it. So basically you say your name and the voice you're gonna use and the name. And I was like, Lee goes, okay, Dusty, what are you gonna do? It's like, Mr. Trilobite. He said, what voice are you gonna use? I said, I have no idea. He said, slate it. Okay. So I put it up there and go, this is Dusty Rhodes and I'm reading for Mr. Trilobite. It's like, where'd that come from? I'm like, and sometimes it just happens, right? And then I did the whole scene, and I turned to the glass, and there's Lee going, laughing. And normally he would give you, a little thing, and he goes, Dusty, I can't tell you anything. You did everything I taught you. I'd have booked you. You're done. Sit down. It's like, and it's the most amazing things. Like, okay, I booked that character. I didn't, but it's like, oh my God, it's the most amazing feeling in the world that somebody says what you do is awesome. It really is.
it is nice.
Yes. So, it's time for question and answer. Now, there's a microphone right there. I want to very slowly make a line. If you want to ask these people any questions, we'll do this for a little bit. I think we've got 20 minutes left. So we will talk a little bit on questions. So come up here and make a line. Foals first.
While people are lining up.
Can kids come up?
Yeah, kids come up first.
Short people, any fools?
Short people.
Please, yeah.
Hey, kids first. Come on up here. You're first. Just come on up. Just pull that down. You're talking to it.
Do we have an
You can do it.
assistant?
You can do it.
Mike,
You can
do
do
we
it.
have
There you
enough
go.
days?
Very nicely done.
You're on.
Nicely
You're
done.
hired.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your question?
What's your name?
Yeah, what's your name?
Adelaide, and I have a question for all of you. Which is your favorite Disney villain?
Favorite Disney villain?
Question.
Ursula from The Little Mermaid.
Yeah!
You can have the same favorite.
No.
Just because I love her voice, and I don't know who the actress is behind her, because it was before they kept putting like celebrities in like they do now. It's just this woman with this beautiful, deep, rich voice, and it's so it just sucks you in like her big tentacles. It's wonderful. I love it.
Who's the guy in Aladdin?
Jafar.
Jafar.
Yeah, the version with, I know they have a new Aladdin now, but the one with Robin Williams. Yeah, I like it.
Thank you. Pat Carroll was the voice of Ursula.
How about you, Mark?
Favorite Disney.
I don't know too many Disney villains.
Snow White.
The Wicked Witch.
Oh yeah, she was very wicked.
Oh, who's yours?
Well, which is yours?
Mine is from Aladdin. What was
Yeah,
the name?
Jafar.
Well,
Yes,
which yours
Jafar.
then?
Mine? Ooh, that's a toss-up, actually. I like Maleficent and actually Hades from the Hercules movie.
Oh yeah.
Hades was amazing. So,
I like Ursula. I think Ursula would be my top pick, but Scar's pretty great too.
Yeah. Mine.
Right. Yeah.
Who was yours?
I don't know. Cruella.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
thank you.
Oh, the mom in what's the mom in Tangled? What's her name? She's also great.
Cruella DeVille.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Disney
now we're
really
thinking a
Disney
whole
does
bunch of different
villains
ones,
well.
yeah.
Disney knows how to craft a villain.
And then there were the two idiots with Cruella.
Skulls.
Stooges.
Thank you.
Tons of them.
Okay, awesome question.
T-Rex doesn't always look like he wants to be here. Like, he looks very tired.
He has resting, tired face.
The youth to tell you the truth. Thanks, Natalie.
Thanks.
First of all, thank you all.
That
for
was
coming
great.
Well, I appreciate it. But what's your name?
aboard. Chris?
Hi.
Well, this question is actually mostly for Terry Klassen, but indirectly also for Sunny Westbrook. So when Cozy Glow first appeared, she was that little vulnerable kid trying to get into the school of friendship in that episode. I was chatting with somebody afterwards, and he said, I don't know what it is, but there's something off about it. So my question is this: when that episode was it recorded keeping in mind that Cozy Glow would become a psychopath later on?
We had discussions about the character when Sunny was first doing it, and I don't know, how much of the arc did you know about that when you did the first episode?
I didn't. I knew she was going to be the season 8 villain. We weren't sure how she was going to get there, but we knew the first time we saw her, you had to buy that she was maybe going to be a friend of the Cutie Mark Crusaders. And it was having a friendship crisis, and that was the story we were going to tell.
One of the really, I don't know if you remember, the person that really brought the Friendship is Magic series about was Lauren Faust. And I think she was on the first 2 episodes, or the first 2 seasons, and then it was given over to other writers, different story editors. But one of the things and I've always said this about My Little Pony, is they write to character and not to situations. Right. And for example, Sunny's character basically always had to have this sort of, that little dimply kind of face and, oh, did I do that kind of feeling to her. And on that particular episode, how much she knew about the character. But she had to be that sort of cutesy manipulator. And manipulate not only the bad, but the good.
She was very victim-y and helped me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Starlight loved how devious she was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a funny line. I like that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Hi there.
Hi.
Summer/Diamond Song, in case you were going to ask my name. So my question is kind of both for Sunny and Mark here. I'm curious, besides the band part, because they're my band, Tyrek and Cozy Glow is kind of one of the weirdest friendships, I guess, to come out of season 8. So how would you describe the dynamic and the relationship between those two?
Yeah, husband and wife, obviously.
Yeah.
But you win the battles.
I think Cozy tries to make it a little paternalistic and I need your help and golly gee, hold my hand while I cross the street. But that's her way of keeping him on her team. She doesn't want to seem too strong and too powerful because she needs him. It's mutual parasites. They need each other. It's a symbiotic, parasitic relationship.
She works me to the bone. That's why I'm tired, okay? I'm tired.
Well, dinner's not going to make itself.
Oh.
So maybe husband and wife. Okay.
An age gap, but okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello. This question's for both Kelly and Sunny. So, last season, I remember during that conversation with Cozy Glow and Starlight Glimmer, when I saw that expression of Starlight Glimmer, when she said "sounds devious," and then just started sipping her drink, and started making that face.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know. I mean, do I sense the evil Starlight Glimmers coming back through or something?
I think there's still, it's the road to redemption is a long and twisted one, and sometimes you take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And I think she admires gumption, so maybe she had a moment of weakness.
Tenacity.
We'll chalk it up to that. You think?
I think so.
Yeah. She sees maybe a shadow of her younger self there, perhaps. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, that's why I'm
Okay.
also still curious. I mean, are we ever going to see Starlight Glimmer's original name back after her main star?
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That'd be cool. I keep thinking it'd be awesome to have a flashback episode. We get to see her back in the village, but that's my dream. So who knows?
But who knows?
That'll be my season 10. All of this stuff.
I'm so gonna volunteer to work at season 10.
This question is from Mark. When you were choosing, when you were voicing T-Rex, did you use your own voice, or do you have to change it a bit?
Yeah, I changed it a bit. I don't like to scare the people or the neighbors and. So it was a real growth thing, being small and then being big. I change it. And sometimes I work my voice out for an hour or so before I come in, just to give it a bit of a bottom resonance that it doesn't have normally. I work at it. Thanks for the question. Thank you.
So I have 2 questions, one for Sunny and one for Kelly. Kelly, I heard that you were in all the Barbie movies.
She was Barbie.
It was Barbie.
Yeah. So
Barbie.
so what was your favorite Barbie movie that you were in?
Ooh, that's a good question. We made 25 of them, I think.
Oh my.
Harry was the voice director on
And that's 2. Yeah, I didn't do the first 2, but everyone after that.
My favorite. Well, the first one was pretty special. Nutcracker was really special because it was the first one, and it was this huge gig, and I got to work with Tim Curry, and it was amazing.
Oh yeah, Tim
It was
Curry. Isn't he the king?
Yeah, he's the Mouse King.
Yeah.
The great villain.
He's
So that's
real
got a
good.
soft spot. And then I also liked Musketeers because of all of the sword fighting. You get to see Barbie fencing. That was cool.
Yeah.
So that one was cool too.
She never stabbed anybody though.
Not
The
on.
Barbie
boring.
movie. No one's gonna get stabbed.
Not all that happened off
What do
screen.
you think this is? 20th Century Fox?
So those two were probably my favorite. But there's some good ones in there.
So, Sunny, I have a question. I never understood the ending of Friendship University. They asked how Flim and Flam got half of the friendship book. And after that, Cozy Glow comes in, and I'm like, did Cozy Glow send them a copy or something?
I like to think she did. I think one of the tricks about that character is she's doing a lot of stuff in between the episodes.
Yeah, like in, I can't remember the episode, but that thing where the young six have to face their fears.
Yes.
What lies
Yep.
beneath?
I
Right.
like to think she had a little something to do
Yes.
with that.
A little something, something.
A little something.
Move it.
Big twist with the Tree of Harmony, too.
Thank you for
I
your
had no
question.
idea how she could do that.
Cool.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. You can move that up.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Frank,
Is that
you know.
little kid height?
I'll just slap down.
Yeah.
Hi. So, I am an aspiring voice actor, and every time I watch movie reviews or reviews of TV shows, I've noticed critics always tend to criticize certain acting by certain actors. They'll say, "Oh my God, their acting was so hammy," or "Oh, it was so over the top and too silly." I don't always see that. I guess what I'm curious is, what should you try to avoid as a voice actor? What are like I know being genuine with your emotions is very important, but what should you not do when you're voice acting? Drink milk or dairy products.
Yeah. I know that wasn't the question, but I think the most important thing is vocal hygiene.
Yeah, I agree. Because I mean, there are characters that you need to play really close and kind of more filmy and genuine, and then there are characters that you are benefited from being completely over the top and clowny and unrealistic. So you just sort of have to.
Yeah, and
play
I've
the
gotten
character, but
take care of your voice. As a new voice actor, I've gotten a lot of advice on how to do it, and some of my first auditions, I would send off to people I trust. I'm like, "What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Give me your advice." And when I stopped taking advice from other people and trusting my gut, then I started booking.
What are your strengths? What do you think you have? What kind of characters would you want to do? Or, are you like a comedy guy? Are you, like a real voice actor? There's so many different genres in
A real voice actor. What comedy? And then there's real voice actor. Well, there's real voice. It's just your voice.
And the
right?
thing is, go to your strengths. Yeah.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Watch comedy is not a voice. Sorry. Anyways, I guess a bit of everything. Like I like to do comedy. I can do Mario's voice. Okie dokie. And then I also like to do my own voice too.
Right.
People generally tell me I have a good voice, so I like to use that. I don't know. I'm still deciding, but I definitely like to do comedy, but also super deep voice. Super deep.
Yeah, well, you're doing the super deep voice. Sometimes, like Mark has a deep voice. So, as a voice actor, if he was going for a role, I'd never go for that role because I know I'm going to be killed by these guys. Because, my voice is obviously not very low. It's genetics. And so you have to sort of find what you want to do. I mean, you could be just listening to your voice. You could be like the good superhero kid voice, not the kid voice, but that 19-year-old voice. Those are the roles. You have to look for the roles that would suit you because there's so many, like I said before, there's so many actors out there. So you don't try to do the super big voices. You just try, you can do the little voices and the silly voices, but it's reading the script and understanding the dialogue, what's in that scene. And, it's reading both parts. And, if there's a question that your character's being asked, understand the question so that you understand the answer.
Yeah.
It's just basically understanding your character.
As a semi-pro voice actor, and I get a lot of things off the internet, and I get a lot of people like, "Can you do this character or not?" And they send me scripts, and I don't have an agent. I have to figure that out myself. As a pro voice actor, you'll have an agent going, "Okay, that's not for that actor, that's for that actor." So basically, if there's an agent that has both Mark and Terry, they wouldn't give scripts to Terry. That's Mark's ballpark, right? But you, as a semi-professional, have to do that for yourself. So I get a demo reel? I do have a demo reel on my YouTube channel. So basically, they send me scripts, and I'll read it and go, "Well, this really isn't in my ballpark. I have to stretch or reach for this character." I just tell them, "I'm sorry, this is not for me." But I have to make that decision, right? So I could try it out for everything that was sent to me, but it's like that. I know for a fact I'm wasting my time because I know that, Jesse Nowacking is way better for that character than I am. So I'm just not going to do it.
Have you listened to a lot of demos?
Actually, no. I've been needing to do that. I've just been putting it off.
Well, just go to websites of agents, and basically they're right there. Just go to their voice talent, and you can listen to all the different.
Yeah, that's a great way to learn how to put together a demo. I recommend that to.
Yep.
They're right there, yeah.
All right, cool.
Maybe we'll see you in the studio one day.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Awesome. Thank you. You guys are awesome.
Thank you.
You look like you're walking to the gallows.
I think he has a question for you, Kelly.
Hi, welcome.
Good to see you again,
Hello.
and everybody else here. The way I like to begin this is I like to give you guys all compliments before I throw out my questions here. Mark, you are so awesome as Lord T-Rex.
Thank you.
Sunny, thank you. You do such a great job with Cozy Glow and how psychic she is.
Thank you.
Terry, you do an awesome job with all the voice actors and directing them.
They hate me.
And of course, Kelly, who has Best Pony, does such an awesome job voicing the best character on the show, Starlight Glimmer. So, I had a question. Would you, depending on, Starlight, did you like her better when she was a villain, or do you like her better as now she's more of the outgoing guidance counselor?
Good question.
Well, to be perfectly honest, she was much more fun to play as a villain. Like, that's pretty fun. But in terms of, do I like her personally better? Of course I like her personally better now that she's, gone through this big transformation and all this redemption and is helping other ponies now. But I do kind of long for the days once in a while where I get to play her as a bad guy, but I wouldn't have it any other way, so.
Totally get you.
Yeah.
So, and for also Sunny, when you first saw Cozy Glow, did you think of her like, Shirley Temple's evil twin or Carly Temple's from Cats Don't Dance?
I had never seen or heard of Cats Don't Dance until this, and now I'm hearing all sorts of Darla Dimple references. I always go back to Shirley Temple as the original source of the epitome of sweet and innocent child in cinema, and I think a lot of people can. It's like if you want to make a guy in a movie a jerk, you put him in a red Porsche. If you want to, like in 2 seconds, you're like, oh, that guy's a jerk. So if you want to establish a little girl as sweet and delightful, you pop her in ringlets. It's like, oh, she's nice. And it's just a quick way to give that impression. So yeah, Shirley, yeah. Did I answer your question?
Yeah,
I was
yes.
rambling. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. God bless you all.
Thank you. We got about 12 minutes left, gang, so one question per, please.
I have a question for Kelly Sheridan. Assuming they haven't already done it, in which case, what was it? What would your personal idea or story be for a Starlight episode that you would want to do?
I think like I said, I love the idea of her having some kind of flashback episode where we see her back in the village, or maybe when she first came to the village, or something like that would be fun. And prior to last season, I would have said like a road trip buddy comedy with Trixie, but my dreams have come true.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That was your nightmare, actually.
Hello.
Hi.
I have a question for kind of you all. So I'm trying to get into voice acting, but more I want to curious, what was one of the biggest obstacles you guys had when trying to get into voice acting?
Acting.
If I can go back to what Terry said, he was saying in Vancouver, where we are, there were some core groups of voice actors, and Terry knew he could call them, they would be on time, they would know their lines, they'd be prepared, and there was really no need to go outside those circles. And thank heavens for My Little Pony to run 9 seasons. They ran out of voices. And they had to start, like Terry was saying, throwing these auditions out and asking us to record them at home, which kind of scooped up some new voices. So it was being prepared when the opportunity to audition for MLP came along. That was the obstacle, was being prepared. And what does that look like? I am not helping at all. I'm still trying to figure it out, dude. Sorry, ask Kelly.
The last art director or director on the show, Jim Miller, and I'm trying to remember his name. Who was the director before that? He did the movie. Jason. Basically, we had discussions on casting My Little Pony, and what it was. I get tired of in Vancouver. It happens in LA. It happens all over the place. And they hire the same people to do all the voices, the same actors over and over again. And if you go to IMDb, and if you scroll down the list of how many actors have been on My Little Pony, that was definitely, we basically would say that we don't want to see the same actors. Now, there are some that repeated, but we wanted to see new actors all the time because it gave more to the character. As far as going out and doing, if you want to be a voice actor, you have to want to do it. You can't do any excuses, say, well, I don't think I'm ready yet. I don't think I'm this and that. Don't give yourself any excuses. Go to different agents' websites, listen to the demos that are on there, and if you can say, I can do this, do it, and just hammer away at it. Give yourself a year, give yourself 2 years. If nothing happens after that, then, you give it a shot. But you have to give it your best shot.
I'll give you a quick thing. Act. If there's an improv acting class in your area, take it.
That's a good one.
Take it again, and take it again, and take it again. If there's a place that does like improv sports, where you can just go and on a Friday night be up there on stage, do it. The more you act, the better you'll get. It's just like playing baseball. The more you get up to the plate and swinging a ball, the better you hit.
And there's a startling amount of improv in voice acting.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
A lot of improv's the best thing I did to be prepared. Yeah.
Yeah, you bring things that are not in the script. You add things, touches, and that's what brings it 3D. That's.
It's
Part
the
of
best.
improv is working with fake props that aren't there, like when you're reading a script. So, like, what does it sound like when you're running and you're not actually running?
Right.
Whereas on camera, you just run.
It's easy.
Those are the touches, yeah.
On camera it's easy.
You just throw on a costume. This is the hard work. Anyway.
Cool.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
luck.
you so much.
Good luck.
Hi. This is a question for Sunny Westbrook, for me and my friend. We're wondering if friendship is truly power.
Yes. Yes, it is, and it is worth the fight.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi.
So my question was, it's like we already have one of these villains, but what if each of the villains had like a twin or something, like an eviler twin? Or,
An eviler twin? Season 10.
With like a monobrow and a mustache.
And a cape. Cozy Glow's colors are
And a monocle.
There you, all of it. 2 monocles. Super, super evil.
And a white cat.
Yes.
I'm not sure what your question is, but I really like the idea of that.
my question was just like, I don't know, what would the evil twins, how they react to them or something like that.
I think Cozy would have a good twin. Locked in a closet somewhere.
Locked in a
Never to be seen again.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
I was just wondering if your villains could, like, I don't know, fight another villain from like another franchise, which villains would you pick?
Oh. Well, Chrysalis. I think that would be
Another
pretty
franchise,
epic. Oh, from another franchise?
Yeah.
You see why we're stumped.
Fairly
I
Odd
don't
Parents the
know.
Bomb.
I don't know if cuteness would work on other villains.
Well, maybe it would.
Let's fun.
I think Lord Tyrek should meet Unicron. That would be a nice battle, I think. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, the only villain I'm thinking of is Jaws, and she's not winning that
I can see Lord T-Rex versus Vegeta.
Ooh.
First of all, say it.
Ooh. Yeah.
You stumped us. Good job.
Great question.
Thank you for all day. I'm gonna be
Thank you very
thinking
much.
about that the rest of the day.
Thanks.
Hello, my name is Alex. This is for the villains. You know how villains that they will do anything to achieve their goals, but sometimes there's a line they will not cross to do it. For your characters, is there a line that they won't cross to do?
Not for me, no.
No, I tore apart like space and time, so it's pretty bad.
7 and signatures into oblivion, so nope, no lines I wouldn't cross.
But do you think that for Sunny and Kelly's character, did you think that you could, I know that Tira could do it, but would you inflict physical pain to someone else? I don't think they would do that.
Smackdown.
Smackdown.
I don't know. She hasn't. It's the,
I
She's
think
more
they're
of a
manipulators, and they'd have other people doing it if that was the
No,
concept.
you're right. She wouldn't.
But they wouldn't inflict pain
No,
to
she
anyone,
wouldn't be
like,
violent.
they wouldn't hurt anybody physically
other
directly.
than sending them into oblivion.
They wouldn't be opposed to hurting.
Going gently into that.
I don't know, you lock ponies up in a shed with no food and water. That's pretty bad. But I guess, you know what, she did come up to that line. That's the thing, right? She did.
Yep.
So, and she changed her mind. So I guess, yeah, there is a line.
That's the line.
There's a line.
Yeah, violence.
I mean, it was oblivion, but whatever.
Oblivion still came up to it.
Thank you.
Sure. Next.
Hello. Oh, there we go. Okay. I'm a fellow voice actor as well. Maybe not as professional as you. I've done 8 video games, 38 different projects. I'm going to a recording studio in Ballard with the voice actor Bowser Jr. and Nintendo, and her agent is going to get me an agent. I wanted to ask if I was going on the right track for becoming a voice actor. I have a demo reel, I have a couple. I want to go for character and commercial voice acting, hopefully promo a little bit as well. Am I on the right track?
You're already a voice actor.
Can I get some tips from you?
Honey, you've done way more than me, and I am a voice actor. I tell myself, I'm a voice actor. I do books, I do book narration, I have 3 on Audible, I've done projects all over YouTube. I'm a voice actor. You've done more than me, you're a voice actor.
Yeah, just change the
How big do you want to get? Do you want to like go shoot for the stars? Do you want to get really big at voice acting?
I at least want to do a kid cartoon or some type of animation.
Where do you live?
Then you have to be in the right city to do that. So for you, if you said Ballard, right?
That's not where I live. I live in Seattle. So.
Okay, I mean the best thing for you to be is to be in LA, because that's where they're going to do the shows. I know that there's a lot of gaming going on in Seattle and stuff for voice acting, and if you're doing commercial stuff, you're a working actor. That's really cool. But if you want to do a series, you have to be in LA to do that.
Maybe that's the next step.
That's your next step is find yourself an agent in LA and say, here's my reel, and that agent will say, well, you've got this voice, these are the kind of characters I can ship you out for, and then you get a job, you go down to LA, and you can actually work here and fly to LA and do your work.
It's a heck of a lot easier to find an agent once you've already have a couple gigs under your
Yeah.
belt, which you do. So
But you're on your way.
You're on the right track, baby.
You're going.
Thank you.
Well done.
Just crank it up. Just lift that.
There you go.
You are.
Sorry. Hi, I'm Tony. So I have a question for Kelly here. So I wondered, what is your favorite character or aspect of Starlight's character?
I like her sense of humor and her sarcasm and her dryness, her sassiness. I kind of like that's never gone away. She's never become like saccharine and sweet. That she tells it like it is, and she rolls her eyes at some of the cuter moments in the show, which that's just funny. I think so. She's funny.
I must admit, my favorite part of Starlight's characterization, I wasn't so much her reformation, but really the steps she took to become a better individual after that. And we got to see that in season 6 and in season 7. Like season 6, she wasn't so comfortable in taking roles. In season 7 and season 8, we saw the reverse of that and her taking on roles. So
I agree. She did the hard work, so I'm proud of her for that.
All right.
Thank you very much.
We got a minute left, so this is my last question, guys. Thank you very much.
2 for Mark. Out of the 2 biggest villains that you've done, Tyrek and Unicron, which is your favorite?
Oh, Lord Tyrek, for sure.
And could we get a conversation between Tyrek and Unicron?
Dad's for us, Sharky.
Unicron, it's Lord Tyrek, please. I am destroyer of worlds. I'll call you whatever I choose.
With that, everybody, that's your villains panel for 2019. Give a big round of applause to Terry, Kelly, Sonny, and Mark. That'll be an autograph soon. I'll see you out there on the floor. Have a good weekend.